At the Ortigia Academy of Magic, Alto faced the daunting task of summoning and forming a contract with a familiar, or risk being held back a grade. Having previously failed the summoning spell, he stumbled upon an old book and attempted the spell once more, successfully summoning a naked demon girl named Vermeil. Vermeil, grateful for her release from imprisonment, kissed Alto to drain his mana and pledged to serve him. However, her attempts at seduction were met with rejection, and Alto insisted she wear his sister's dress and shoes. Presenting Vermeil to the class as his familiar, she concealed her horns and tail to pass as human. Alto's childhood friend Lilia grew jealous and challenged them to a duel, with high stakes. If Lilia won, Vermeil would stay away from Alto. If Alto won, Lilia would obey one of his commands. During the duel, Lilia's familiar, Sylphid, unleashed a powerful wind attack, but Vermeil effortlessly blocked it, and used magic to arouse Lilia to the point of forfeit. Alto then ordered Lilia to befriend Vermeil. Later, Vermeil reveals to Alto that Lilia is in love with him, a revelation he finds hard to believe since he didn't reciprocate her feelings. Vermeil, needing mana to survive, kissed and drained Alto once more, explaining that sex would provide more mana. However, Alto insisted that kissing would suffice, resisting her attempts at further seduction. The following day at the academy, Vermeil astounded everyone by effortlessly dispatching a rampaging dragon with a mere flick of her finger, much to Alto's dismay as it drew unwanted attention. The dragon's owner, along with his intimidating brother Rex, threatened them with Rex's formidable dinosaur familiar. In a daring move, Vermeil supercharged Alto's mana, empowering him to defeat the duo with his crystal magic. Despite his scolding, Alto expressed his dream of becoming a splendid mage, a sentiment Vermeil wholeheartedly supported. The next day, along with Lilia, they join their friends Marx and Cheryl, and the headmaster announces a competition to retrieve a fairy flower from the forest to determine the class representative. As they raced, Marx fell victim to a man-eating plant, leaving Cheryl to tend to him. Meanwhile, the others encountered a Cerberus guarding the flower, which emitted a chilling aura. Lilia drank an invisibility potion, but her clothes remained visible, forcing her to discard them. Despite her efforts, one of the Cerberus's heads detected her presence, prompting Alto and Vermeil to incapacitate it. With Lilia retrieving the flower, the invisibility wore off at an inopportune moment, causing her embarrassment. In her flustered state, she dropped the flower, which ended up in Cheryl's hands. Cheryl emerged as the victor, winning the position of class representative, to the congratulations of her friends. Alto decided to show Vermeil around the city, where she delighted in tasting modern cuisine for the first time. During their outing, they encountered the Dragon Riders, and everyone admired the esteemed member, Chris. After their physical education class, Cheryl encouraged Lilia to confess her feelings to Alto, while Lilia pondered over Vermeil's true nature, given her extraordinary abilities. Vermeil caused a stir by following Alto into the boys' locker room, drawing attention to herself. Later, Vermeil boldly entered Alto's shower, attempting to seduce him once more. Meanwhile, Chris confronted Rex for his defeat and expelled him from the Dragon Riders, citing his dinosaur familiar as a disgrace. Learning of Chris's actions, Alto was incensed and challenged her to a duel. She accepted and summoned her dragon, while Vermeil supercharged Alto's mana. However, despite their efforts, Chris's formidable fire spells proved devastating, shattering Alto's crystal constructs and injuring Vermeil when she blocks them. Undeterred, Chris proclaimed the superiority of dragons over all other creatures, including dinosaurs. Determined to prove her wrong, Vermeil supercharged Alto once more, empowering him to create a massive crystal construct. Alto and Vermeil managed to outsmart Chris during their duel, using a distraction to approach her and hold a crystal shiv to her throat, securing their victory. This success led to Alto's newfound popularity among the ladies, much to Lilia's envy. However, Professor Obsidian cautioned Alto about the seriousness of dueling. In a surprising turn of events, Chris took responsibility for her actions and reconciled with Rex, even taking on her own chores as a form of penance. Despite Vermeil's persistent attempts to seduce him, Alto maintained his stance that kisses should only be shared between those in love. Vermeil confessed her love for Alto, leaving him troubled and seeking advice from Professor Obsidian regarding human-demon romances. However, Obsidian's response further complicated matters, stating that demons often seek humans solely for their mana. Determined to understand Vermeil's intentions, Alto confronted her, only for her to prove her affection by kissing him without draining his mana. Meanwhile, Obsidian's dark deeds came to light when a student, Emma Abelian, fell victim to his manipulation, resulting in her being left in a coma after being injected with a mysterious substance. As the third student to be attacked, suspicions began to arise within the student council. As part of their assignments, the class was tasked with writing reports on their familiars. Reluctantly, Alto measured Vermeil's body, while Lilia, consumed by jealousy, spied on them using the invisibility potion after trusting Cheryl with her clothes. A chance encounter left her in a state of bliss when Alto inadvertently brushed against her nipple without noticing. In a touching moment, Alto listed Vermeil's likes in his report as sweet, only for Vermeil to add Alto to the list, revealing the depth of her feelings for him. Meanwhile, a possessed Rex and his mutated dinosaur launched a brutal attack on Chris and her dragon, signaling a new threat looming on the horizon. In a poignant flashback, Rex summoned what he believed to be a dragon egg, with Chris assisting him in its hatching. However, in the present, Vermeil's public display of affection embarrasses Alto, causing a scene. Amidst the chaos, Rex's brother approaches them, pleading for their assistance. Meanwhile, Rex's relentless assault on Chris continues, his body undergoing disturbing mutations that render him impervious to her fire spells. As his brother, Alto, and Vermeil arrive, Rex expresses his desire for revenge on Alto. Their confrontation is interrupted by the arrival of the student council president, Elena, who swiftly incapacitates Rex and his dinosaur with her sword. With Rex now under observation in the infirmary, Chris stands vigil over him while contemplating their shared past. As an impending exam looms, Vermeil walks away, leaving Lilia eager to study alone with Alto. However, Vermeil encounters Obsidian, confronting him about his attacks on students and urging him to cease his actions. In response, Obsidian injects her with a substance that induces excruciating pain, causing her to release dark energy. Sensing the disturbance, Elena rushes to the scene, only to be hindered by a monstrous creature summoned by Obsidian. As Alto hurries to join the fray, Vermeil undergoes a terrifying transformation into an uncontrollable monster, leading Obsidian to revel in his sinister plans. In a desperate battle against Obsidian's monstrous creation, Elena finds herself locked in a relentless struggle as the creature continuously regenerates from her attacks. Meanwhile, Obsidian ensnares Vermeil with a magic chain, seeking to exert control over her. Just as Alto and Lilia arrive on the scene, Obsidian reveals his sinister intentions, admitting to his heinous acts of injecting people with demon essence in an attempt to transform them into demons. He taunts them, declaring that he now possesses a genuine demon in Vermeil. In a surprising turn of events, Vermeil breaks free from Obsidian's control and launches a ferocious assault on him. However, her attack inadvertently impales Alto, leaving him gravely injured. Despite his wounds, Alto selflessly intervenes to protect Obsidian from Vermeil's wrath, urging her not to resort to killing. Enraged and distraught, Vermeil lashes out at Obsidian once more, but Alto intercepts her, bearing the brunt of her fury. As he collapses from his injuries, Vermeil returns to her senses, horrified by the consequences of her actions, and uses her powers to heal Alto. Meanwhile, Obsidian, driven by desperation, injects himself with his demonic formula, transforming into a grotesque demon hell-bent on vengeance. However, Vermeil effortlessly dispatches him, punching a hole through his monstrous form. He panics and attempts to flee, but Chris shoots him down with precision, and Vermeil swiftly incapacitates him, rendering him unconscious. Meanwhile, the monster that Elena was engaged in combat with retreats from the scene. Chris and Vermeil combine their efforts to subdue him, ensuring he faces justice for his crimes. With Obsidian defeated and arrested, his victims awaken from their comas, finally freed from his malevolent influence. In the aftermath of the battle, Vermeil somberly reveals to Alto the consequences of her healing him. linking their life forces together, so if one of them dies, the other will die as well. Vermeil then becomes cold to Alto, and says her monster form was her true form, so she should stay away. Despite her attempts to distance herself, Alto expresses his unwavering affection for her, sealing their bond with a heartfelt kiss that leaves Vermeil flustered but deeply touched. As the school community grapples with the aftermath of Obsidian's demise, the girls mourn his loss while the boys express frustration over Vermeil's absence from classes. However, Lilia takes a compassionate approach when she encounters Vermeil, assuring her that she doesn't perceive her as inherently evil and trusts Alto to keep her impulses in check if they ever spiral out of control again. Reunited, Vermeil and Alto reconcile their differences and share a tender kiss, reaffirming their bond. Meanwhile, elsewhere, after slaughtering the inhabitants of a church, a sinister duo named Iolite and Heliodor discuss Obsidian's failed endeavors, acknowledging his shortcomings while recognizing the potential in his research, which they intend to continue. Back at school, Vermeil dons a snug school uniform and rejoins Alto in class, much to the amusement of the boys. However, their reunion is short-lived as they are suddenly detained by the student council. Elena expresses regret for her inability to assist them during their confrontation with Obsidian and delivers alarming news: Obsidian has managed to escape from prison. They abruptly corner Alto, brandishing their swords, demanding the truth. Faced with no alternative, Alto confesses that Vermeil is indeed a demon, and that their lives are intricately intertwined. Jessica, a member of the student council, advocates for Vermeil's destruction upon hearing this revelation. However, she is taken aback when Elena not only acknowledges the truth but also asserts that Vermeil is not inherently evil. Moved by Elena's conviction, Alto is invited to join the student council by her. Amidst his reservations about Elena's true intentions, Alto decides to accept her offer to join the student council, earning praise from his friends Lilia, Marx, and Cheryl. However, Vermeil expresses her suspicions about Elena's humanity, urging Alto to remain cautious. During a council meeting, Alto and Vermeil inadvertently interrupt Elena, Chris, and Jessica while they are changing clothes. Although Jessica reacts with shock, Elena and Chris dismiss the incident, taking responsibility for failing to lock the door. The meeting takes a serious turn when Elena presents a piece of the creature she encountered, revealing an unfamiliar form of magic that piques their curiosity. Meanwhile, Iolite and Heliodor confer with Kohokamiya, the master of the mysterious creature. Iolite's revelation angers Kohokamiya, especially upon learning that he killed someone he was supposed to recruit. Following this, Iolite and Heliodor depart with the intention of targeting Alto and Vermeil. In Alto's dream, he witnesses a scene of a child Vermeil crying in a ruined city. Then, a woman appears and presents Alto with a choice. He must decide between helping humanity and bringing salvation, or helping Vermeil and bringing destruction. As he grapples with the weight of his decision, Alto wakes to find himself anxious about an upcoming exam. In a bid to alleviate his nerves, Vermeil kisses Alto, draining and subsequently supercharging him with mana. As students from across the country gather to take the exam, they are instructed to channel their mana into a crystal ball containing a flickering flame, a task that will test their magical abilities and aptitude. As the exam progresses, several students struggle to affect the flame within the crystal, ultimately failing to make any impact. It dawns on Lilia that their failure stems from focusing their mana on the crystal rather than the flame itself. With this realization, she effortlessly enlarges the flame, demonstrating the correct technique. Cheryl and a student from another school also succeed in magnifying the flame, while Marx barely manages to influence it enough to pass the test. Alto, the final participant, contemplates his approach to the task. He discerns that pouring mana from behind the crystal might yield better results, but Vermeil encourages him to showcase his abilities. Despite his initial hesitation, Alto decides to pour his mana from the most challenging angle, resulting in an explosion of energy that shatters the crystal. Though he apologizes for the unintended outcome, the professor affirms his success, granting him passage. Before the written exam, Alto and his friends enjoy a picnic, offering each other words of encouragement. Vermeil steals a private moment with Alto in a hallway, almost causing him to be late as she pulls him into a kiss. Meanwhile, in a dark turn of events, a student from another school, who had voiced discontent about Alto's display, falls victim to Iolite's treachery. Sneaking into the bathroom, Iolite ruthlessly murders the student and steals his test ticket. Elsewhere, Elena and Jessica engage in fencing practice, with Elena emerging victorious. As they take a shower, their conversation turns to Alto and Vermeil, with Jessica struggling to come to terms with Alto summoning a demon, while Elena perceives their bond as a sign of love. As Alto enters the test room, Vermeil is forced to wait outside. Iolite, adopting a guise of friendliness, takes a seat beside Alto, wishing him luck as tension mounts in the room. As Vermeil sits outside bored, she reminisces about Alto's promise to protect her, finding solace in his words. Inside the test room, Alto experiences a moment of panic when Iolite falls asleep at the start of the test. Despite his initial unease, Alto focuses on completing the exam. Unexpectedly, Iolite wakes up and rapidly finishes the test, mocking Alto for his comparatively slow pace. However, their exchange is interrupted when a guard reports the discovery of the murdered student's body. It becomes evident to the professor that Iolite is not a legitimate student. Iolite dismisses the test as a mere amusement, and summons a stone golem to crush the professor's legs. Chaos ensues as students evacuate except Alto, but Vermeil arrives with the professor from the previous exam. The situation escalates as the golem seizes Vermeil, prompting Alto to unleash a surge of power, shattering the golem. However, Iolite retaliates by summoning more golems and impaling Alto's shoulder. Inquiring about his intentions, Alto learns that Iolite's group seeks to harness the power of demons to bring about the world's destruction. As Vermeil transforms into her monstrous form, Iolite effortlessly incapacitates her. Attempting to eliminate Alto, Iolite is thwarted when the book used to summon Vermeil shields him. Suddenly, the woman from Alto's dream materializes, revealing herself as the memory of the mage of the beginning who sealed Vermeil. Iolite launches an attack, but in a dramatic turn of events, she freezes time and transports Alto into Vermeil's memories, where he finds himself witnessing a young Vermeil enjoying a carefree moment from 550 years ago. As Alto delves into Vermeil's memories, he learns of her upbringing by a nun alongside the orphans Miel, Lynn, and Kate. Despite knowing Vermeil's true nature as a demon, they accepted her as family without prejudice. However, tragedy struck when the townspeople discovered Vermeil's identity and falsely accused her of causing a devastating plague. Faced with the threat of an angry mob besieging the church, Miel urged Vermeil to flee. She nearly escaped town, but upon hearing that her family was in danger, she rushed back, only to find them already executed by the mob. Consumed by grief and rage, Vermeil transformed into her monstrous form for the first time, unleashing her fury upon the town, and resulting in its destruction. Alto is horrified by the extent of the carnage and destruction caused by Vermeil's uncontrollable power. However, the mage explains that this was the crime for which she was sealed away. Despite her past actions, Alto finds himself able to interact with Vermeil within her memories and offers her comfort. As Vermeil transforms back into her adult self, she expresses deep remorse, believing her actions to be unforgivable. However, Alto reassures her, declaring that he does not care about her past and professes his love for her. Their declaration of love brings them back to the real world, where Alto reaffirms his feelings for Vermeil, expressing his unwavering love and acceptance of her. As Iolite summons a massive golem, claiming that Vermeil's sole purpose is destruction, Alto and Vermeil defiantly reject his assertion and combine their powers to combat the looming threat. With a unified effort, they manage to vanquish the golem. As Heliodor appears and warns that she can't sustain the space warp for much longer, she and Iolite swiftly escape through a portal. Vermeil reveals the identity of the mage of the beginning as Fatima, who expresses her fondness for Vermeil and entrusts Alto with her care before repairing the damaged building and disappearing. In an effort to bolster his strength and abilities to better protect Vermeil, Alto undergoes rigorous training in fencing and martial arts under the guidance of Jessica and Chris. Despite facing challenges and defeats in sparring sessions due to his lack of experience, Alto remains determined to improve. In a moment of intimacy, Vermeil expresses her love for Alto, reciprocating his feelings. Meanwhile, Elena emphasizes the importance of unity in the face of ongoing attacks during a student council meeting, prompting collective agreement among the members. In the end, as Lilia, Marx, and Cheryl receive their test results, all passing successfully, Lilia's jealousy is piqued when Alto fails to appear, suspecting that he is preoccupied with Vermeil. Indeed, Alto and Vermeil are found sharing a tender kiss in public, reaffirming their love for each other and their resolve to protect one another no matter what challenges may arise.